Hey, Trailblazers. In this episode, we're talking about how to maximize your engagement in your Facebook group or even revive a dead Facebook group so you can get more calls and more paying clients. So stick around. If you want to build a legitimate, profitable online business without shiny objects, without the hypey gimmicks, and without the stress and overwhelm, if you want to make more money without having to be present online all day, every day, pumping out content that nobody sees and hustling DMs to generate leads and sales, then this is the place for you. Welcome to the Digital Trailblazer Podcast, your online business university, where you'll learn how ordinary people start from ground zero with no influence, no email list or audience to sell to, and no business or marketing experience, and go from working 9-to-5 jobs to building successful 6- and 7-figure online businesses and all the steps in between. Learn the strategies that worked and what didn't. Learn the mistakes that they made and how to avoid them, and then learn their plans for scaling their businesses and taking things to the next level. All so that you can build your business faster and easier and make more money without sacrificing the things that are important to you in your life. I'm your host, Leah Ray Getz, and with me is my husband, Todd. Now, let's get to it with today's guest. Hey, Shivani Sharma. We're excited to have you with us today and to dive deep into Facebook groups. We have been on the whole Facebook groups for many, many years in our business. We teach folks how to use it. I think they're wonderful, but as always, there's pros and there's cons to every strategy. And a lot of folks struggle with engagement. I can't tell you how many people I talk to and they're like, well, I have a group, but, right? There's that but added in where they have no engagement, they kind of abandon it. It didn't have engagement, now it's kind of dead. So I think this is a great conversation for our audience today. Before we dive into the nitty-gritties of the strategies, can you give us a little context about yourself and where this is all coming from? And then we'll follow up and get into all the details.
Okay, so I'm a strategy coach. I've been in business for the past 15 years. I started off as a copywriter. And the reason I got into copywriting was that I'm blind and I wanted to find something that I was going to be passionate about that I could serve back to society. And in my younger years, all I had figured out was that I can write. So I decided to start working in corporate, and I started working with some of the biggest brands in the world, won a bunch of copywriting awards right in the beginning, and everything was going great, except I didn't like corporate at all. I didn't like the backstabbing mentality that was sort of very prevalent back in the day for advertisers. And I was a blind person. I had no idea how to navigate politics, and I was just doing a very poor job of being in corporate world and thriving in that respect. And so I decided to start my own ad agency. And that's where I started struggling the most, because even though I was getting clients here and there was no consistency, right? And I'm sure everybody here has seen that level in the business, right? Where you don't know when your next client's going to come from, and it's just always a struggle. And I struggled like that for years. And I was just so frustrated with myself because I was like, I'm coming from marketing. How is it that I've worked on Coca Cola and Dove and like Tim Hortons and, you name it, I've worked on it. And my own small little business, I can't get it to work. It was so frustrating. And then I realized that I was missing a couple of the pieces, right? I knew corporate advertising, but I did not know how client acquisition worked as a small business. So I decided to finally teach myself how to do this. And the first thing I did was I learned lead generation. That's usually the first piece you sort of have to figure out before you do anything else, right? So I figured out lead generation, I figured out sales. And then I realized that the binding element that was missing between these two things was a Facebook group, right? And once I realized that, I created one, and it became my community. It became my place of rest. It became my place of work, and it became everybody else's place of feeling like they belonged, right? And in creating a business and in creating sustainability for myself, I ended up discovering that thing that would help me serve society again. And it was much bigger than advertising. It was building a community. And that's really why I do what I do, right? I want people to be able to go after their passions, feel like they're not alone, and have people rooting for them and buying from them all organically.
Yeah, and like you said with Facebook, one of the things that's a unique feature there that we don't really see in other places is that community, right? The group function of Facebook. And there's so many unique things that you can do in there that make it a really neat way to engage with your audience. And I really feel like this is where people make the decision to buy, is when you are nurturing an audience. That nurture part part of your business. We've been mentioning this quite a bit lately, the Google 7-11-4 rule, where they've done a bunch of research as to the behavior of online buyers and what it actually takes to get somebody to whip out a credit card and buy and join whatever it is you got going on. And just to recap really quick, what Google found across millions and millions of purchases is that on average, it takes roughly about 7 hours of interaction with your brand across 11 different touch points and 4 different platforms in order to earn a customer or client. And so when you think about the way that a lot of people do their marketing, they may do a webinar over here, or they may do have a sales page up here or a website. And you think about the amount of time that people are spending there, how many times they're visiting, how much content they're consuming there. And you may have maybe half an hour to an hour of interaction with your brand across 2 or 3 different touch points, and maybe 1 or 2 platforms. And it's not nearly enough to get people to that point where they're willing to buy and join. But if you have a community on Facebook where people are coming back to over and over again, they're seeing posts, that's where you're going to build that know, like, and trust. That's where you're going to get those extra hours of interaction. And when you combine that with other things like an email list and other ways, retargeting ads is another way to keep in front of your audience. That's where you're earning your customers and clients. And so that's why I'm really excited to talk to you today about keeping an engaged Facebook group, because that's where, a lot of people have a Facebook group and everybody feels like their group is dead. So help us out here. What do we do? Because I think you have some insights as to even how to build that group in the first place.
Absolutely. And mind you, these insights usually change every year because, as we all know, Facebook changes its algorithm every year, right? So whereas last year, if we were talking about groups, we would be talking about finding your leads to grow your group in other Facebook groups, which still works, but now is not the only thing that works anymore, right? So the next thing to add on to that arsenal is Facebook Reels and also Instagram Reels, or any Reels anywhere, basically, right? And essentially going viral is the new thing that generates leads for Facebook groups or any platform you have, basically, at the moment, right? I resisted this for a while because being a blind person and doing editing on a really tiny app is very, very annoying. But I finally figured out a way to do this within 2 minutes. And it's usually driven with tools, AI insights, and whatever I've learned from my Facebook community, right? And I've taken all of that and put it into content. And now content, thankfully, only takes 2 minutes a day. And that generates me about 1,000 views a day. And then from there, like maybe 200 people will go into my Facebook group. And that's how I recommend people do it.
Okay, so what are the reels about? Like, what type of stuff are you creating reels about?
Okay, so for every audience, it's going to be different. But the idea is that you should have a very close eye on what is going viral in your niche, right? And there are tools that are available for that. But ultimately, what you want to have a handle on is find 4 different themes that go viral often, right? So say that you are a relationship coach, right? One theme should be about you and your personal life. So find a personal life related type of a reel that's gone viral, right? And then emulate it. Then you want to do content that's about your method, right? Specifically, what is it that you're teaching? Why is it effective? How many clients you've gotten from it? How many clients your clients have gotten from it? Whatever the result is that you have achieved, right? You want to be able to showcase that for your method. So very method specific type of content that's direct sales. And that stuff is nurturing, but also getting people to like buy something or go somewhere, right? So for example, my Facebook community is about referrals. So I will talk about how great referrals are and how easy they are to get, especially if you're inside of a Facebook group, and then I'll invite them into my Facebook group. Then another kind of a post that you want to do is just educational, pure value, nothing else, no ulterior motive. And that reel will develop that like and trust. And then you want to have one type of reel that's just to get new clients in the door, just new eyeballs, right? These ones aren't so focused on you as a person. They're not focused on even like too much education. They're somewhere in the middle. They tell people who you are, but more importantly, they grab attention. They're basically just an attention gimmick at the end of the day. And that will get you the maximum number of people coming into your group.
And so on those reels, are you using your Facebook group as a call to action? Say, hey, if you want more, join this group, or if you want to connect, join this group.
Not always. My group, and that's part of the group strategy you should have. Your group should itself be valuable enough that if you put the link on there, people already want to go in there. So people a lot of the times will call their group something generic, like, alignment marketing for entrepreneurs, right? And if you just put that link on your link in bio, what's the chance that somebody will click on it? But if you made it more specific and you said, come get the training that will boost your marketing by 50% inside this group, way more likely people will join the group now.
And so you are primarily just relying on people visiting your personal profile or your business profile and then seeing the links for your group on that.
Yes. And the idea is that if you do go viral and you know how to go viral, then per post, you're getting about 1,000 views, right? If your link is sticky enough, then you will get a steady stream of people coming in pretty much every day.
So this also requires that you have a properly set up personal profile with the banner and the call to action and who you are and how you help people and all that stuff, and the bio and all that.
So the bio should be set up, your Facebook group profile should be set up well, your group should be set up well, and obviously you want to make sure that your message is aligning well with your audience and is specific enough.
Now, I know a lot of people have a Facebook group. They have trouble getting people in there. And I think part of the problem is maybe they've called it something that's maybe unclear what the benefit is of joining, or maybe people see it as, oh, this is a group and I'm just going to get pitched in there, right? Do you have any suggestions about how to create a group that people actually want to join?
Okay, so think about what a gap is in your market, right? So I'll give an example here. When I started out my coaching program, I didn't really know what to call my group. I was doing some research. I'd already done like lots of sales calls by then, right? So I realized that one big problem all of my people have when they start is that they don't have testimonials when they're starting their businesses. And so they can't build credibility fast enough for other people to give them work. That was when I was working with brand new people. So knowing that, I was like, hey, let's go find a group where you can pitch testimonials. And there wasn't a group that could do that. And because I realized that, I created that group. I created a testimonial exchange group, right? And all people wanted to do inside that group was just say, hey, I have something that you can do for free. Who wants to do it and give me a testimonial? Intrinsically, it lends itself to people wanting to go in there. So you want to think that if you have a room and people are passing by in the hallway, what can you tell them that will want to go make them go in the room? Hey, if you are a relationship coach and you've been struggling with fighting, maybe your group is just about resolving conflict together. It's a free conflict resolution center where you come in and get free advice on how to resolve the conflict you have today, for instance, right? Something specific, basically. It shouldn't be generic just because your audience focuses their attention on, I want to solve that micro problem. So if you solve a micro problem and then escalate them to the rest of your offer, it's way easier.
The way that I've heard it described before, which I think is really insightful, is that your program is the A to Z journey. How do we get from A all the way to the goal at the end of Z? Whereas your target audience, their immediate concern is that next step. It's not A to Z, it's A to B.
Hardly most of them even know what A to C looks like, to be honest with you. Most of them are so scared of A and B that they're looking back at being like, I can't believe, how did I even get here? B, it seems really like I don't even know if I'm ever going to get to B. And what is C anyway? So we can, a lot of the times there's cognitive dissonance, basically. For instance, my target market and your target market want lead generation 99% of the times. But are they all ready for lead generation? No. Most of them don't know what their offer is, don't know who their target market is. They have a sales problem. They have a messaging problem. And then after solving all of that, we'll get to lead generation. But I know that about my audience. So I will always talk about lead generation first and then educate them next about the rest of the things they're missing.
Right. Yeah, because that's what they're looking for. When they're sitting down at the computer, they're typing something into the search bar on Facebook because they think their problem is leads. They don't think their problem is messaging. They don't think their problem is mindset or whatever.
Yeah. And I find most coaches have this problem, right? They'll start off making their whole program based on what they think their audience needs. Like at the end of that whole process, they realize no one's buying because no one's reached that point of elevation yet. They're still hanging out over here where, for instance, people with people-pleasing programs, right? Like, oh, I'll help you become less of a people pleaser. Most people don't like to admit that they're people pleasers, for one. And two, they're not ready to get rid of that problem because they haven't even admitted to themselves. But what can they admit to themselves is that, oh, I have an abundance mindset problem. I can't make any money because I don't like money. And that's why I want to get a program. So maybe you start with an abundance mindset program for a people pleaser and then escalate them into a people pleaser, right? But people don't think like that. They start where their audience isn't, basically.
Yeah, that's exactly it. All right. So now that we're growing our group, are there certain things that we want to do with the way that we set up the group as far as like group questions? And do you want to make the group public or private or and all that stuff? Like, what are some of the settings that we want to create in the group to make sure that it's set up correctly to eventually get people to buy and join the program?
Okay, so first things first, you want to make sure that your group is private because public groups they just let everybody in. And that means that you are not getting a lot of qualified leads coming into your group. So you want to make sure there are questions set up and your group is private. The questions you set up will qualify your leads. They will also help you get your email list growing, and they will also give you insights on your audience, right? So you can only post 3 questions, and this is how I like to do it. The first question should figure out whether this person is a right fit for you or not. So, for example, for me, the best fit is somebody who's already had at least 1 client already and 1 testimonial. The reason being that they're people who believe in themselves now, right? They're not people who will doubt whether or not they should build a business. So for me, that's my target market. So I'll ask, are you a women entrepreneur who is at least 1 client at the moment? And if people say no to that question, I don't let them into the group. Then the next piece is your email address. You want people to give you their email address. So you should be giving them some sort of a freebie at this point that they just cannot say no to. Okay. This will automatically build your email list for you. And that means that if somehow any platform shuts down, you still have a target market to go after. My recommendation is pick something very micro specific, anything that can have numbers inside of it, right? So for example, one of the freebies I love to give is I have a training that helps people get 20 to 30 leads every single day. And I offer that as my freebie coming into my group. And almost about 80% of people coming into the group then give me their email address for that freebie. And then the third one is basically, you can swap that out to whatever you want, but I like to do one of 2 things. One is that I can offer an audit of some sort here, right? So every group member that's coming in, I can offer them a free call. This works with people who are really desperate and are looking to buy something immediately and solve their problem now. Okay. It doesn't get you all of your target market. It just gives you that 1% that's ready to buy. That means that if, say, that like I offer a strategy audit, for instance, right? When people come into the group, I say, hey, as a group member, you get a free strategy audit and I will help you with your promised target market offer and sales absolutely for free. And people who jump in, I qualify them before they get on a call with me. And if they're not willing to invest, then they don't get that call. But the idea is that immediately that's one stream of clientele and calls coming in immediately as people join the group.
That's awesome. I love it. We do very similar type things with our group, with our questions, and it is really effective for booking calls and for building the email list. Do you have any tips on what you've seen work best for the freebie to maximize the amount of folks who are leaving their emails?
I like trainings. And the reason I like trainings best is because that's how somebody gets to know you really fast, right? They get to hear you, they get to see you, and you're not wasting time on a lead magnet or checklist or whatever. It's like quick introduction to you. So if you can get a really powerful training in, you don't even have to have had it live, honestly. But the one thing I like to do is, say I've been doing lives for like a year, okay? And some of the lives I know did really, really well. And people were excited about it and actually wanted to buy from that live and things like that. I'll take that live and turn it into a training because I know that that one did well, right? So sometimes your group and what happens inside of your group will be able to tell you what you should give as a freebie because people are biting on it now.
Absolutely. So do you have any specific tools that you recommend for collecting those emails and getting them on your email list?
My favorite one it's called Group Leads. It is a Chrome extension. And if you get it and install it, it takes like very little time. And it will connect to whatever email system that you have. So it will automatically send people messages as they come into the group. It will also approve people and then put them into your email list and then send them out whatever email sequence you want to send them. So it all happens in a click of one button.
That's awesome. So I think the biggest question for folks listening is engagement. There's been ups, there's been downs, algorithms change. How do we actually get people in our group to see and engage with whatever you're doing inside the group?
Okay, so you need to have a varied amount of content. And the most important thing to understand is that you must have an eye on what is already being engaged in or outside of your group. So the same principle applies everywhere. Whether you do it on Facebook, whether you do it on Instagram, you do it on LinkedIn, it doesn't really matter. The idea is that you look at what's already gone viral somewhere else and repurpose it for yourself. And that takes out 90% of your guesswork, and it takes out 90% of the question in your mind whether your audience is the problem or your content. Because it could be one of the two, right? Maybe the content isn't the kind of content your audience engages with, or you are going after the wrong target market with the wrong content.
So are you posting the same content that you're posting elsewhere, or is it exclusive within your group?
It's exclusive within my group. So I have 5 types of content that I like to post. So one is just pure engagement, just getting people to say something. This can be stuff like you can ask a controversial question. For example, if you are in business and you don't want to be too controversial, you can ask something like, hey, do you like to include religion in your business? Or do you like to keep it separate? You know, the kind of conversation when you started in a group and a couple of people are standing, everybody starts leaning into talk, even though it's not about them. That's the kind of content you want on your Facebook group. So those types of questions that are still relevant to what you are talking about, but can automatically get people to give their opinions and butt heads with each other, right? That's good engagement content. Another good type of engagement content is questions that people generally like answering. Like, oh, what's the best country you've ever been to? Or what was the last great book that you read? Favorites kind of stuff. People love talking about favorites. Other stuff that is not engagement specific, but still gets a lot of engagement is a great way to revive your group, which is events. Doing events inside of your group will do wonders for waking up a dead group. You can do challenges. I do amazing challenges, which almost get like 80% conversion rate for me. And it's a very specific method that I use to do challenges, and I don't think anybody else does it like that. But man, once it works, it's like, you know how you were saying it takes at least 7 hours of content to watch before they turn into fans? A challenge does that so beautifully, because 5 hours with you already, right? And then you just get them on one call. That's all it takes. So yeah, events are great. What else is great? Long format copy, but it tells the story really well, where you're really, really getting into your personal life, what happened, why this matters so much, and what you have learned from it, and the transformation you've gotten, and the very, very easy way in which you're delivering it now to your audience. That will wake people up. But the story has to be so relatable that everybody who's reading it is tearing up because they're like, I've been there. That's what you want.
I love it. So do you like have a schedule or anything where you're going live regularly in your group, or what do you do there?
I go live every week unless I'm doing a challenge. And then outside of that, I have a whole content calendar that I use on this day is this day is this. And the idea is to just be as consistent as you possibly can, but by spending the least amount of time doing something. Because the more time it takes to create it, the less you're going to want to do it.
How frequently are you running challenges in the group?
Every 2 months.
Okay. So I'm assuming the concept is you've got enough fresh eyes in there. It's time to run a new challenge and kind of shake the tree, if you will, and get some fruit to drop.
Absolutely. And honestly, you can do one challenge, and if that challenge has converted really well the first time around, you can just keep doing the same challenge again and again and again, and it'll be equally profitable. Like, I did one challenge that literally got me $200,000 by doing it once. And that's it, live.
That's awesome. I think that could be a whole nother episode. We can dive into your challenge strategy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, earlier in the episode, you mentioned something about some AI tools that you were using to help create your reels. What were those tools and how are you using them?
That is a very complex question. I will try and answer it as succinctly as I can. So there are a couple of tools that I'll recommend right off the bat. One is called Descript. Okay. Descript is this AI tool that takes all of your content and then creates mini pieces of content from it. So you can put a video in there and then it will automatically cut it up for you and suggest things for you. You can also like remove all your ums and ahs and things like that and change the format of the content, all that kind of stuff. So, and it also creates B-rolls for you. So great for creating content. Or if you've already been going live, for instance, for a couple of years now, you can just take all of that content and then turn it into 2 reels, essentially. So that's one. That's also one of the ways I repurpose my lives and my challenges and stuff, and I'll use the same. Another one I love is called HeyGen. HeyGen, you can take a picture and then turn it into a moving image. So you can take a bunch of your well-shot images, or you can take AI versions of your own images and turn them into walking videos, and then just have good captions and good headlines. And that's a reel that can be created within 2 minutes. 11 Labs is really great if you want to clone your voice. If you want to clone yourself, yeah, I think it's between HeyGen and there's another one called POLLO, Polo.
Now, do you use these to create content within your group as well, or is it just typically for Reels to get people in?
Both, because the ones that are inside the group are going to engage with the kind of reels that that people have. It's the difference between doing a retargeting ad and doing a first time targeting ad. What is that called?
Okay, so are you these Reels that you create? You're posting them in your Facebook group as well?
Yes.
Okay, good. And then, how often are you creating new Reels, or how often are you posting Reels per day?
I'm posting one reel a day at this point, and again, it takes me 2 minutes to do that.
I don't do Reels, but Leah does. So this may seem like a dumb question, but do Reels have captions and things that you can type in there? For example, I just interviewed somebody on a different episode that I think one of the things she does is she will tag different influencers or leaders in her niche in some of her content in order to try to get interaction from their audience. Is that something that you do in order to get more reach? Are you doing anything with the text or the caption of the Reel to...
Captions, yes. Captions are my big best friends. So I have trained my AI. So I'm a copywriter. It's really easy for me to tell AI to do whatever I want because it's a matter of talking and writing, and those two things I do very well. So I've trained my AI to do all of my captions for me, which is why it takes me so little time to produce anything now. So yeah, it does my captions. What I have told it to do is essentially make sure that stuff goes viral, stuff is high converting, SEO is kept in mind, and because SEO is now important on Instagram, where it wasn't before. And it is also same thing with Meta. All of Meta is now keeping SEO in mind, and everything is now Google findable, which is why all your captions have to make sure that they are descriptive as well as entertaining.
So when you're asking AI to write your captions, are you giving it the transcript of the reel to do that, or what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm just telling it what my reel is going to be about, and then I tell it to write my caption, essentially.
So within the Facebook group, now that we've got people in there, we've got them engaged, what are some of the things you're doing to transition them into booking a sales call or making a purchase?
Okay, so that's really all about having a good hook, having a good offer, having a great testimonial every time. Every time you want them to actually buy something, this is what you need to have in your content. And you can always do that in just one post even. My favorite one is this. You can say, this methodology is a gold mine. So we'll say Facebook groups. Facebook groups are a gold mine. I just made $200,000 doing one challenge inside of my Facebook group. Who wants to implement this in your business? Say below. That kind of a post will get me like at least 15 phone calls booked. And so essentially your one sentence story or a one sentence result plus method. And that's good enough.
I think other people call those two-step posts, what you were talking about. We call them profit posts. There's a lot of different words for them. But yeah, those are super effective. Now, one of the things that you mentioned that I kind of want to come back to is your challenge strategy, specifically because the 7-11-4 rule that we've talked about so many times, and like you accurately said, you get so many hours of interaction within that. Like this could be a client acquisition strategy in and of itself. Can you give us more of a picture of how do you integrate that in your business and what the overall picture looks like?
Yeah. Okay. So my challenge is essentially the main thing I want people to do inside of my group because I know it will convert them. So what I like to do is I'll start people off. So my favorite challenge, the one that I like people to take because it gets the maximum results, is called the 5 clients in 5 days challenge. Okay. And I have that plastered all over my Instagram, all over my Facebook, and inside of my group. But what I do is I start off with making that specific challenge related post go viral on Instagram and Facebook. And then I will take them from there into my Facebook group where I offer the challenge. And then when people come into the thing, they sign up for the challenge. Then I have tons of content for them to consume before the challenge. And then during the challenge, they're with me live for 5 days. And you want to have a format, right? So you want to tell your story really well throughout those 5 days. You want to make sure that you are delivering homework that actually gets results that day. Because a lot of times people will give homework and they'll be like, oh, the results will come later. No, you want them to know now that the result is due today, basically. And that way you will get testimonials for the challenge as it's going on. And then when you do the challenge, you want to make sure you're not over teaching. Because the process of over teaching basically leads with everybody feeling like they already know how to do everything and they don't need you anymore.
Or overwhelm, I think.
Or overwhelm. And sometimes it's okay to overwhelm them because then they will realize they need you. But not so much that they don't finish the challenge. So it's like a fine balance. Most people don't know how to strike this. And that's why most of the times when people do challenges, they don't actually convert as well. And then real big kicker is handle objections 100%. Like handle all the objections that have ever come up in your business ever in those 5 days. So that by the time they're done, there's no choice but to buy from you.
So are you just integrating those, preemptively overcoming those objections within the content that you're providing for the challenge?
Exactly.
So what's your structure typically? Is it like you're just live in the group on a set time? There's so many different variations that people do for challenges. What's your kind of structure?
I do the same thing every day. So I'll go live at the same time every single day. I send out emails before, emails after, and emails prior to the challenge that are leading up to get submissions or registrations. And then I have a chat going as well, where I have my success manager for the challenge who will be reaching out to everybody who is doing the homework and making sure that they're doing the homework well. And that also gets those people into working with us because they're already in conversation with us now.
Now, I know some people, when they do challenges, it'll be a paid challenge. Most of the time it's free. Do paid challenges or is it free?
So far, it's been free, and that's been working really well. We are toying with the idea of making one of our challenges paid, so we'll see. But for now, it's free.
That makes me want to ask, have you ever done the VIP upgrade with that or paid?
I have not. And it's one of those ADHD, I will get to it kind of problems that I should do, but haven't done yet. Have you guys had that? How does it work?
I don't remember if we did or not. We have,
Yeah,
haven't
we've
we?
done that.
Yeah. So it might be an interesting test versus the VIP, how that plays out versus the full paid challenge.
Yeah.
So
I would say that's typically where, at the end of the challenge, where most of our customers come from is the people who upgraded to the VIP.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Yeah. When you have somebody who shows interest in paid, they usually do end up becoming customers. So that's pretty reasonable. Yeah. It makes sense.
well, this has been an awesome conversation. I think our audience hopefully has taken buckets of notes that they're going to come back to and use in their businesses. Thank you so much for being with us today. If people want to check you out further, where should they head?
Okay, so I'm going to give you a couple of things to do, but the first thing you should do is join my 5 clients in 5 days challenge. If you guys are looking for clients right away, this is 5 days. I've done this challenge myself first, just to make sure that you guys could get clients. And it's been done hundreds of times over since then, and people always get clients. So this is a no-brainer, and it's completely free. All you have to do is come and take the challenge and get some clients. And if you want to work with me after that, great. But even if you don't, you will get clients. Okay. So to check out this 5 clients in 5 days challenge, you have to head over to a very easy URL. Do we have the URL here, or how do we usually give it out?
Yeah, we'll put that in the show notes. So if you check out the show notes or the description of this video, the link should be in there.
And let me just share with you what's included. Okay. So you have 5 days with me. And in the 5 days, I'm going to teach you first how to create a group that gets you leads. Second, I'm going to show you how to find other leads in other groups and through other pieces of content like Instagram and by creating ChatGPT types of content. Then I'm going to show you how to create specific content to go viral so that you can fill up your groups. Then I'm going to show you how to book calls so that when you put out content, people actually do raise their hand and get on call with you. And then the last piece is making sure that you can make that sale. Because just because someone got on a call with you doesn't mean that you can handle those objections. So I'll make sure you know all of those things, and every single day, I'll give you a piece of homework that will get you a client that day.
That's awesome. I love it. We're going to have all the links in the show notes and description. Again, thank you so much for being with us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You've been listening to the Digital Trailblazer podcast. The strategies and earnings mentioned by our guests represent their individual experiences and results. Nothing shared on this show should be considered a guarantee of earnings or success. The views, opinions, and claims expressed by our guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official views of the Digital Trailblazer podcast or its hosts. This podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and does not constitute professional, financial, legal, or business advice. Please do your own research and consult with qualified professionals before making any business decisions.